I'm Enrique Latoison. This video is brought to you by Commentary Creations, your 3-minute lawyer. I'm actually very excited to talk about this topic today. We get these calls and questions all the time from clients, former clients, people who call the office. Can I buy a gun in Pennsylvania? Am I allowed to have a gun? Am I legally allowed to have a gun? And these questions are very important. And today I'm very excited. We have an expert in his field, Adam Kraut. So we have Adam here. Adam, introduce yourself.
I'm Adam Kraut, the Executive Director of the Second Amendment Foundation, and I'm an attorney here in Pennsylvania.
So let me start off by telling everyone that's watching this, this is not legal advice when it comes to purchasing a firearm or having a firearm. There are very stiff penalties if you are doing the wrong thing, and I don't want you to say your 3-minute lawyer told you you're allowed to have a gun. So if anybody's unsure, make sure you seek counsel or call the office, and we'll go from there. So let's start off with this. So in Pennsylvania, what if you're convicted of what kind of charge can you not own a firearm legally?
So there's always two different bodies of law when we're talking about firearms related stuff. First you have federal law, and then you have state law. So there's a little bit of overlap between the two, but it's important to understand the distinction. In Pennsylvania, there's a list of enumerated crimes when you go to buy a gun. That's on the back of the form you fill out if you're purchasing a handgun, or what's defined as a firearm here in the state.
Now, when you say that form, is that the form that a person gets when they go to a gun store or tries to purchase a gun?
So yes, in Pennsylvania, depending upon what you're buying, there's one or two forms. There's always the federal form, the 4473, and that deals with federal law. So under federal law, if you're convicted of a state law misdemeanor that's punishable by more than 2 years imprisonment.
Okay, so more than 2 years imprisonment. That would be a misdemeanor in the first degree, a felony in the third degree, a felony in the second, a felony in the first degree, correct?
Yes.
And that's the federal form?
Yes, that's the federal form. And so it's punishable by. You don't actually have to serve that jail time. It's a very important distinction to understand. Then in Pennsylvania, there's a list of enumerated crimes, which I can't recall off the top of my head because there's a bunch of them that would, under state law, prohibit you. A lot of those overlap with the federal law, so if you're prohibited under one, you're likely prohibited under the other.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. So when you have two different forms, what kind of firearms do you have to fill out one form versus the other, or is it always two?
So in Pennsylvania, when you're purchasing a long gun.
Long gun. That would be rifle, shotgun?
Rifle or shotgun.
Or AR-15?
Yes.
Okay.
So those would be on the 4473 and only the 4473. Typically, when we're talking general terms here, anything that's a handgun, you'd be doing the state form, which is the record of sale, and then the 4473, the federal form as well.
Okay. So what I want to ask you next is, if a person is convicted of a misdemeanor in the first degree, or a felony in the third, felony in the second, or a felony in the first degree, are they allowed to purchase a firearm?
No. Not only are they not allowed to purchase a firearm, they're not under federal law allowed to possess a firearm or ammunition. Okay. Now, there's one other point I want to throw out there, and there's going to be a little bit of a caveat with that with the state law. Under federal law, you can possess an antique firearm, and there's a definition for that. It's like a muzzle loader and stuff. But in Pennsylvania, if you're convicted under, if you're prohibited under the state law, you can't possess that antique firearm. So there are some nuances that it would be very good to get with an attorney who understands this to know whether you can possess an antique firearm or not. But there is a distinction between federal and state and what's prohibited.
All right, we're going to get to part two. That is part one. This is a very complicated subject. This is not exactly something we can do in exactly 3 minutes. Enrique Latoison, your 3-minute lawyer.